I will begin today by expressing how consistently through the ages, and in particular the 20th century, authors, academia, and various other studies on my life have largely depicted my attire incorrectly. I wore military clothes, attire that was best suited for the task at hand. For how could I do battle in a gown? Furthermore, wearing a gown would only allow me to ride side saddle on horseback, and only at a very leisurely pace to boot. I also cut my hair short for two reasons. Firstly, to prevent the enemy pulling my long black hair and throwing me from my faithful horse. And secondly, my long hair would have caused the head covering to eventually become loose and unstable, and by doing so, putting me at a disadvantage to my enemies. Also, consider the internal struggle of my soldiers. They, taking orders from a girl, was not easy for them back then, and is something today men still have such difficulty with. So I also took the opportunity to look more masculine for them by having my hair cut en ronde. I was imprisoned, tried, and found guilty not of war crimes, which almost certainly would be the accusations brought against me if I were in flesh and blood this very day. No, my crime from these religious extremists was wearing men's clothes after I had agreed never to do so again. Therefore, as a relapsed heretic, my fate was sealed. Even though there was provision in 1428 to allow women to wear men's garments if they felt their virtue and or life was in danger. Nothing reinforces this provision further than doing battle with my country's enemy. This provision would certainly cover the necessity to wear men's garments and make null the cross-dressing accusations brought against me. I was given no counsel to support me in court. My mother and two brothers who fought alongside me were denied bearing witness as to my good character, obedience, and the female duties I performed in the family home. Only some 25 years after my murder were they allowed to give testimony. I was given counsel by a false friend. I knew this to be so, as my beloved Saint Catherine afforded me good counsel and forewarned me of this man. There are many false friends in the cross-dressing arena today, stirring suppressed, raw, and confused emotions. And so we get to the point of this message. The term cross-dressing is reported in the many books about me, and others dating back to the 1900s and back even further. Yet even in those olden days, as they are referred to, it held the same connotations as it does today. The term cross-dressing unquestionably has reference to that of a sexual nature, orientation, or preference. There can be no dispute over this. I took a vow of chastity, and so there was no sexual motive for my wearing men's garments. Even the courts at that time recognized my virginity. Thus, there is no reason today to entertain the thought that I was a cross-dresser. The darkness has chosen to create more division and confusion in society, funding both sides of the war by radicalizing both those in favor of cross-dressing and their rights and those opposed to it, wishing to maintain the status quo. Such pity that these angry mobs do not recognize that they are merely being played as pawns, cannon fodder in a war for mind, body, and soul, for blinded, so they are. Impatience, lack of understanding, lack of care, lack of love, lack of respect and tolerance on both sides is causing a polarization and may widen a little further, causing more division and distraction. This polarization that the darkness has created is being halted, even though the rise of extremism had already begun. It could have sent humanity plummeting back into what you have known as the Dark Ages. Common sense and the middle ground would have been lost to the rise of religious and political extremism. We do, however, know that the wishes of the divine will be met and balance will be restored. Why do we know this? For without even the divine lifting a finger, figuratively speaking, these two groups will eventually be dismantled by their own volition because they are not living in the love energy, the frequency that is demanded and becoming stronger each day on Mother Earth. These angry mobs demanding their will be done will have less and less emotional support that would give their cause sustenance. And therefore, they will have to rise up to Mother Earth's frequency of love and state their case in this tone, or their cause will be lost. People will be able once again to live their lives how they choose, without fear or demonization. I advise not to give the darkness the sustenance it needs. Starve it of the publicity it desperately craves. Furthermore, I advise not entertaining in any shape or form television programming, news reports, sports events, and music events, and so forth, that push unconditionally the dark side's agenda. If I were on the earth plane this day, I would lead the charge of a collective energy that is of pure love, diminishing the power the darkness has over the radicals, and by doing so, allow those who genuinely wish to cross-dress to live their lives in peace, and freeing others from the grip of the Dark One and his entourage. The new battlefront is media, and I dare to say that I would once again, if it pleased the divine, be at the forefront of the battle. For our authentic voices are the new weaponry. Speaking out loud, boldly with courage, conviction, and of course only in love frequency, I would gladly once again risk life and limb, but this time for humanity. Love does not fear consequence. It does not fear ridicule, and it does not fear injustice. Love only knows love. I am Jeanne.